Finally! Kurwa.
You're going to need a
To change pieces of your armor, press the Start button and select the Armor menu.
Crossover effects. There's a few different secret sets, but the earliest one that you can get is the Wild Burst armor, by having all of your armor pieces as Wildfire while wearing the Sludge Mark 9 helmet. There's a few trophies here that are going to require you to do specific things throughout some of the planets. The first one here is Monkey Wrench. Defeat Mungo using only your wrench. Mungo's the first boss you'll come across. He's this purple-pink space gorilla thing. I don't know what he is, but he's Mungo. Now this trophy would be easier on your second playthrough. At that point, you'll have multiple different armor sets with the wrench effects that'll make this challenge a lot easier. However, I wanted to do this on my first playthrough without any of those additional effects. And yeah, it took me a few attempts. It's almost as if I turned Ratchet and Clank into Dark Souls there temporarily. Okay, easy. Easy, yes. Dodge. What? This time. This time. Oh, come on! Unbelievable! Something wrong with my frontal receptor. Honestly, Mungo, I hope you choke on a broccoli. Yes! Yes! That's what we're about, baby. Yes! Yes! I need to calm down. It's just Ratchet and Clank. Celebrating like I did Radahn from the Elden Ring DLC. Destroyed 5 displays in the Caledon Mechanoid Factory. Defeat a giant blue crab in Poketaru. The leader returns to Poketaru for a second time. And here, just outside of the cave, you'll find Daddy Crab. In race in 4th place. So we get a trophy for sucking, for being terrible, for just losing. The funny thing about this trophy is the AI of the other races are almost programmed to kind of keep up with you. This means that if you're going quite quick, the races will also be performing pretty well. But if you're going really slow, well, they'll suck too. Who do you think I am, Michael? A charity case? It's best to just boost through the race and then throw in the towel right at the last minute. You suck! Another hoverboard trophy here is execute a shortcut across space in the medical outpost of Mega Races. So for any of the race challenges at the outpost, there's a portion of the map that'll have you flying across space. There's a bit of an exploit here where you can use your booster to skip a good portion of the race. This will almost always ensure that you win all of these challenges, making the medical outpost of Mega Races fairly easy. You'll have to die in space, but so long as you're underneath the portion of the map here, you'll respawn right on the finish line. I'm led to believe this is actually a bug in the original version, but Sony decided to keep this around and rather just make a trophy surrounding it. What's interesting about the hoverboard mode is there's no trophy for completing all of the races.
Dobra,
You only
kurwa.
have to get these 2 other trophies. Was definitely expecting a completionist
Ale nie mam,
trophy
kurwa,
for all
butów.
hoverboard races, but you don't have to do all of them. I ended up doing all of them because some of them reward you with armor pieces. I actually really enjoy the hoverboard mode here in Size Matters. Unless something like this happens. What happened here, though? I won the race. What do you mean I lost? My PlayStation 5 is intoxicated. Re-enter Dreamtime and relive the terror. Okay, so Sony are just having a laugh with this one. The general consensus is that the dream sequence of Size Matters is not very good. I, for one, actually liked the dream sequence. This is them being straight up evil. They know what they're doing here. All you have to do is go back into the dream. There's also a trophy here for dying to a fish. Rather than killing Ratchet in real life over in Poketaru, I decided to do it here in the dream. I'll tell you right now, too, I've had dreams of this exact thing. It's horrifying. More so, though, it's the lurker fish from Jack and Daxter that got me. The score multiplier of 12 times. For any of the Ratchet and Clank games, when you go into challenge mode, which is Ratchet's New Game Plus, you'll now unlock the Bolt multiplier. As long as you're killing enemies and you're not taking a hit, that Bolt multiplier will increase. For Size Matters, the max multiplier is 12, and you can get this pretty much as soon as you start challenge mode. The training course in Poketaru is the best way to do this. Just keep your distance and kill. We need to make our way to the high impact treehouse. So, in some of the Ratchet and Clank games, there's a secret location known as the Insomniac Games Museum. And this is going to be one of the coolest Easter eggs in all of video games. The Insomniac Museum is a playable level that shows you a bunch of the behind-the-scenes stuff to do with the development of that Ratchet and Clank game. From concept art to scrapped pieces of content, how certain ideas for the game came together. It's like a lot of the stuff that you hear from developers in interviews when talking about the development process, but as an actual playable level. So, High Impact Games actually made their own version of this. Now, the normal way to access the treehouse is to get all 25 skill points throughout the game. There's even a trophy where we're going to have to get 15, but not all of them. For other Ratchet games, you are required to do either skill points or other in-game achievements to access the Insomniac Museum. But there is an additional means to be able to access this secret area. If you set your internal console clock to 2:42 a.m., then make your way to this area of Metalis that can be accessed via the polarizer from the launch pad. A new teleporter will appear that will send you straight to the High Impact Games treehouse. There's 2 other trophies that we're going to grab here. What could have been discover the cut weapon. So the famous mini turret from Ratchet and Clank 2 was going to be in Size Matters. And yeah, you can even pick it up and use it, but you can't carry it back into the full game. High Impact decided not to include this weapon as it was pretty similar to the G-Mine. The other trophy here is solve the Gadgetbot survival challenge at the High Impact Treehouse. The planets of Metalis, Bane, and challenges. This can range from a robot destruction derby, which I actually hated as a kid, but it was really cool now that I'm instructed in, oh, this is a Gadgetbot, so cool. just to show what rotation before this robot abuse the puzzle challenges, which is essentially Ratchet & Clank's version of Lemmings. I found it pretty surprising that there's no trophy for completing all of the Clank challenges. I know some of you guys might be happy about this. I don't think the challenges for Clank are absolutely fine. There is a skill point, however, for finishing all of those Clank challenges. The trophy I would be happy with is completing all of the Treehouse challenges, consisting of those Gadgetbot survival puzzles. These are ones that were going to be put into the main game, but were removed due to the difficulty of these. And yes, they are hard, much harder than regular. You only have to complete one of these, thank God, and I chose this one. Oh, thank God, never again, never again. My brain goes. No, it's not like that. Expression game with a handful of secret trophies. Side medals feature titanium colors, and there's a total of 3 trophies for collecting, and yet you have to collect all 20 throughout the game. This one here sucks to get. The wall jump just doesn't work. It took way too long. It's interesting.
So, jetzt gut, der Block durch. Bam.
Usually used to purchase skins in the secrets menu of Ratchet games. The skins here in Size Matters, though, are a little bit lacking. Like, yeah, I like Beach Ball Ratchet, he's kind of cool, but the Godzilla guy, but like, there's only 3. The rest,
Yeah.
because this is the PSP version, the PlayStation 2 version, there were 2 additional skins that were added. The Blue Ratchet and Samurai Ratchet, which would cost 2 gold. There's even a garbage can Ratchet that buys with the Japanese version. Game 5. Let's continue. Look at these good 10 out of 25 skill points for this trophy. This is different because usually the Ratchet games ask you to acquire all of them. Skill points are the built-in achievements to Ratchet games that have been there since day one. Typically, you'll grab a handful of these as you make your way through the game cup, knowing what you're doing with the unlock. Not actually. Look at the statements throughout these games, but you can get because you can actually just unlock them. However, let's look at the 5 diamonds of our way to unlock. The first one is very good kitchen. If you look at these manuals, now this is open your own. The best one to do is this location as there's a lot of kitchen spots. Now first, we're trying to build the kitchen into the plant, but the problem with this is the plant without food. What you do is incredibly toxic to the pigmy. Over time, these plants will end up killing. Whatever the pigmy like the actually done just killing some of the food I tried to offer you. After murdering what is probably the entire village of pygmies to it, I decided to let nature fight. Rather than trying to live there it goes, I lived out in wait, observed this situation, and it's kind of destiny. Every act is unsupported. It stalks its prey, waits, the very claw, glass of its teeth. The empty red body is very quickly transformed open, not knowing about its surroundings. The potential lunch meat in its considerous see what even the yellow piggy is aware that its brother has just been chowed down. It seems that these plants practically eating 5 piggies for nothing. Extra strength, faster, 650, look at how we train for 1 minute, 30 seconds. Super easy if you run it down, there's nothing better. You don't even have to kill the human. First of this is like, right now, you look at the many ways to cover rocks.
Good morning, Dave.
It's super easy. You can just use this one right here as the 2 hammers which give you this one. The easy one, right? You put it 1 time outward to the head. You can able to upgrade the weapon as well. To migrate weapons there, activate zip line without using any of these stronger weapons again. I remember you're using Princess and from the shield. Last up on our list is the King 1 million volts. Well, let's see one. The miner was likely going to final trophy event again because it costs a staggering almost 10 million bolts. Now, I include only to purchase 2 of the Titan weapons to help get me through the game. Otherwise, I was saving my bolts the entire time. If you were collecting bolts by just normal means, not actually using a method to grind them out, you'd probably have enough to purchase the Rhino by the end of playthrough 3.
Whoa, without getting
Fastest way to accumulate bolts size matters is to go to Focus Pyro and get a 12 times bolt all the time. After that, make your way to the tower. You explore the area that requires the polarizer, then you should be a teleport in at the landing pad, but it's simply to the end of that area that has a bunch of crates that forms in the game. With the 12 times multiplier, box, break a gadget, you can break all of them at once and accumulate about 400,000 bolts. From here, we run back to our ship, fly off to gaining moon. The box breaker to break the crate near the landing pad. This here will get us roughly about 200,000 volts and then fly back to the palace, roots, and work. It's a little bit mundane, but it takes about 20 minutes to accumulate 10 million volts. This is the fastest way to get the limit. And that's the rest of the Plain Sight Matters Platinum Extravaganza. Honestly, it's been so great to go back to this 2007 gem. It reminded me just how fantastic this game is for a PlayStation Portable title. Definitely a fun trophy list like most of the Plain games. They're always just a joy to play. It's a little bit interesting to see that you don't have stuff like upgrading absolutely all of the weapons. This would definitely add additional time onto the 30,007 to upgrades the cost in the game. With the 12 times multiplier, box, break a gadget, you can break all of them at once and accumulate about 400,000 bolts. You can run back to our ship, fly off to Daily Moon. Use the box breaker to break the crates near the landing pad. This here will get us roughly about 200,000 bolts and then fly back to Metallus, roots, and repeat. It's a little bit mundane, but it takes about 20 minutes to accumulate 10 million bolts. This is the fastest way to get the run.
Nice to
And
have
that's
you.
the Resident Plain Sight Matters Platinum Extravaganza. Honestly, it's been so great to go back to 2007. It reminded me just how fantastic this game is for a PlayStation Portable title. Definitely a fun trophy list like most of the Resident Plain games. They're always just a joy to play. It's super interesting to see that you don't have stuff like upgrade absolutely all of the weapons, which would definitely add additional time on the platinum, because not only would you have to purchase the Rhino, you'd have to purchase all the Titan variations of the weapons, as well as completely upgrade them. Very interesting thing that there isn't a trophy for collecting all of the armor, which would bring the flag the players have to go into a third playthrough and permanent benefit, along with no trophies for completing both the probable encounters and challenges. These obviously make the platinum grind a little bit easier. Compared to other Ratchet games, this is definitely an easier one to platinum. It'll be interesting to see what Sony do with the other Ratchet games if they are brought to PlayStation 5, if they remain with the same trophy lists that the PlayStation 3 versions had, considering that Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus had a completely different trophy list compared to the PlayStation 3 version. I'm not too sure what else Sony could do though, but trophy list was already pretty perfect for the PlayStation 3 version. Don't count too much to in. I love doing videos, so even though I video. First, subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything that's going on here, and check out my other social media platforms, links in the description down below. Stay tuned to my wonderful playthroughs and showcase. So I hope you all have a fantastic day. So, see you again.
Ratchet & Clank is a series that rears its head every so often. I wish it was more frequent, to be honest. Or at least port the old games to something more recent for PS3. That would also be really nice. To get back on track to the video though, today we're going to rank through the Platinum Trophies for the series. First thing to note, none of these games have trophies, which is why they're not on the list. Save your time. Now, I do quickly want to note that I don't think any of these games are really difficult, which actually makes the ranking harder than some of the other series I've done videos for. Last being quickly, for Stranger games, they have multiple versions like PS3 and the Vita, and I'll be taking both into account for the ranking. This is really only relevant for one game on this list, which I will mention when we get to it. Welcome for real for those pieces. To know the series, challenge mode is basically using plus. So every time I say challenge mode, that's what it means. Without further ado, let's get on with ranking every Raptor Point Platinum Trophy from previous. Come on, starting with. Just apart a foremost obsessively easy. A lot was made about the price versus length of game when it came out, and I'm not going to dig up whole rooms, but personally, it took me 13 hours to platinum the game, in my opinion, at a very quick and easy time. When I was looking through the trophy list to make this video, nothing was jumping out at me as far as trophies go. Like one of the rarest is to find the weapon. It's just requires challenge mode, but also doesn't require much of challenge mode. Everything else is done in the first playthrough, which is so still kind of nice, but also like it's a fun game and people really mind us getting more of it. You should most of the playthrough, so daily yeah, apparently you only need 5 gold posts, for example, which is good or arbitrary. That's why they decide not to make a big gold post like the later games will say. Same thing applies to the Lords as well. None of the posts are mythical, so like I said a bit earlier, no need to apply damage posts. The rarest trophy is the one for returning shots with the void reactor and killing enemies with it. It's not especially hard, but I do get why it's so rare. I see it being very unlikely to accidentally get it. It is a opportunity, and look, to be honest, it's more fun shooting the other guns. That's the same thing when it comes to too negative. Like, I do think the game is great, and my biggest problem with the game is that there wasn't enough of it. This is one of the two active games that dominated my life as a kid, and I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty looking at the beginning for the video, I completely forgot to do a preview or even have trophies. Fun fact, when you play the two rapid battles, I guess we don't say better than everything or anything. You've got your max character trophies and your max upgraded weapons, so this going to take the most time up skill points. There's 165 in this game, while 1, 2, and 3 each have 30. Now, I'm not going to go every single one because we'll see what it'll say, but a few things to note. First, some of the private market difficulty, which you need to beat the game to unlock. Well, admittedly, you need to get loads of gold. You can 4 million to be exact, which is much easier. Challenge mode, because multipliers and whatnot, so you'll probably be doing the second playthrough anyway, so it's not a major issue. Other skill points require things like killing with specific weapon mods, like the elements, killing a certain amount of enemies with specific weapons, or not taking any damage. Again, not going to go over all of them, but they're mostly in those categories. That is basically the long and short of it for this platinum though. This game is also not super long by graphic standards, so replaying is not a huge issue. I kind of feel like people are down on this game, and I don't know, I like it. It takes itself way too seriously, but you know, it's in its 2000. This belongs in the same category as 50 Mouse's Edgy Code and Shadow the Hedgehog's AK-47. It fits in right with those two. Yeah, I was 50-50 on whether to put this game or the next one higher, but this one is one of my favorite games ever made, and so I put it as easy as I know that I like it more. It's easier to play for me. That being said, what I do love this game. This one was the other action game that I spent probably way too much time on as a kid, but it's great, so be dead. Platinum-wise, the rarest trophy is to get all 1 mega weapons, which requires challenge mode, basically just needs to max upgrade your weapon. Other than that, you've got to do with skill points. I think all of them there has been deadlocked despite there being way fewer. Again, I'm not going to go over all of them, but they're not super hard provided you know what you're doing. For example, when it's just smashing them up here around this funnel and not the first skill point that I got over here. There's also things like shooting at cameras, ranked only challenges in the arena, or free runs of the full system. In addition to those 2 runs building different, the tokens in each of the levels, and I quite like them in game personally, but I think I might be in minority there. For the most part, it's quite simple, though some of the tokens are hidden up the main path, and so you need to do a bit of exploration. There's also the titanium bolt hidden around in the game that you need to get. 40 of them, in fact. Giving you the guide is obviously easy, but if not, the one good thing is that what I can tell knows it's difficult, so that's it. So as I said earlier, this game's fighting requirements are basically the same as last row. So the skill points, expressive bolts, flattening bolts in this case for throwing weapons, like it is the same requirements. As with the previous games, the challenge mode to get through the bolts or to use within a first playthrough, and associated choices will find the best time for this one, so everything else. Flattening bolts are the same deal as titanium bolts, hitting throughout the game but kind of different. Still points of also for jamming parts such as no damage in a triangle section or a bunch of arena stuff that I'm not going to go too in depth in. Now, one thing I would get around talking to that I didn't mention was the holobyte races. Yes, the holobyte races are the hardest part of the game. The skill points you need to get specific times, and yes, these are quite tight. However, personally, I didn't struggle too much on them. Like, yes, they're the hardest part of the game, but it's not like tearing your hair out or anything. It just took a few more than one try. I fully expect people to disagree with that because judging by online, a lot of people struggle with these, and that's fine. My opinion is not any better than yours. I just have to have a microphone. Something about this game just feels really cool. I can't my finger on why, but I do love it. Side note, is the prepping time that gets like podcast, like the old titles are all in Windows, so is that the same deal, or may it be way too far into it? Anyway, black and white, there's no skill points to learn about, but I found there's a small substantial stuff to do instead. For example, there's no space missions to do in the open space. These aren't difficult and function as side quests as opposed to skill points in previous games, which are, let's be honest, just random tasks. There's also various collectibles such as gold bolts, the zonai, and the constructor mobs. None of these are missable, so you can collect them at your leisure. Plus, there is an in-game map for collectibles you can get, which makes this a pay for. There's also a secret boss you can fight after getting rid of collectibles, and I think that's neat. It's not especially hard, but secret bosses are cool, like some video game hassle. You've also got to get all the weapons, but you've probably yet that at this point. Finally, the game does require use of speed challenge mode for a trophy, so 2 full playthroughs are required, unlike previous games where you may have just needed half an extra playthrough set. It's not the first game on the list with difficulty trophies, so you need to beat it on hard, though even on the first playthrough, hard is completely doable, let alone in the second challenge game. I'm really coming out of how I wanted to get kind of already in the too, but I ultimately decided that this is higher because they forced to think about what's required for full specification. Into the next group has the benefit of being the shortest of the existing active games going back to
Kurwo!
this game has
Prawie.
that's going on than most of the previous games. I actually think it's more
Jebana.
platinum-wise. If all that verbal starts to let you reach stuff, you get all gold bolts, full armor, and all upgraded weapons, as well as the new custom areas. Same advice as to all the other games are different. There's also 2 required playthroughs. The challenge mode run is required, and there's difficulty trophies again required to do playthroughs need to be on legend difficulty. Now, the main reason this game is this way is because it's enjoyable at nightmare. If you can use a nightmare box to scare every enemy type in the game, including bosses. That including bosses.
Kurwo, co tu się dzieje, ty? Ja pierdolę, tego nie było wcześniej takie kurwa ciężkie na tym. Ja pierdolę, no. W końcu, ja pierdolę, ty. Co za kurwa po prostu, ja nie wiem.
I still don't like it though. So we arrive at Raccoon Front 1. Technically, this is the game of the movie of the game. But remember the movie? No, I like it, but I like this so only, I guess. For the flat movie, you need to eject it, upgrade all your weapons, max out your health, and get all the gold bolts. There's also other collectibles like trading cards and brains, but the same strategy applies with the gold bolts. For trophies more specific to this game, never use all attached to the trespass puzzles. I like these, so I wouldn't use them all to hack everywhere. There's also some puzzle races between Sherman and the Sherman in this game, but they are probably past trophies. Not the most annoying though. Now I'm going to Red Sky District. Everything I said about your worst nightmare applies here as well. You can make every enemy type down, including bosses. One missed enemy, and that's another playthrough. Except this game is a lot longer than for the Nexus, so it's one whole time. It's a flawless system. There's other miscellaneous trophies too, but just like this shows who's the starter. I suppose it couldn't work if you consider the final move out anyway, but all trophies you may put in and you will feel like a dumbass. At first, with 2 spin-offs on the list, and this is the better of the 3. But now, hopefully, I don't know. It might be a spin-off that you still need to upgrade all your weapons. Other than that, though, the trophies are way more unique, which is good to know. First, struggle through the last 3 entries. We'll start with online trophies. Now, even there are a few online trophies, only one of them actually requires an expansion, the one for the custom. At this point, there's no way on, but it's still completely doable. I use the second account with the streaming version, and that works fine for me. There's another group of John Dawson trophy, but nothing is listed this time, so it's not easy and similar just with some 8 enemies with the bunnies, not difficult and totally done for it. There's also a big trophy for running, driving, and also based in the same distance. This isn't hard, but the numbers are so specific that it's probably a reference I don't get, and I wanted to mention it to see if someone else knows what the reference is. The hardest trophy in the game goes over the top, which requires you to be really some max challenge time. This is easier in co-op, but I have no practice, so I didn't play. This is probably the hardest trophy I've just played with so far, but it's not impossible even by itself, but noticeably harder than everything else we talked about.
Co to za jaja? O to chodzi.
Now, I love Ratchet 1, but boy, can you tell it's the first game. For starters, there's no bolt multiplier in challenge mode, which basically defeats the point in challenge mode, but the money savings it was turned off for. You have to get all gold bolts and skill points again, but you don't have to upgrade your weapons because you can't. There's no weapon upgrading in this game. You do have to find gold pegs for them though, so there's that instead. But none of that is the reason this game is so high. Weirdly enough, it's all about the hollowball racing. First, I will say that this is the hardest racing game in the series, and I don't think that's up for discussion, personally. Do you remember at the start when I said both versions of the game would be taken into account? That is just for this game. So the Christy McMark trophy is fairly easy on the PS3. You got L1, then R1, then L2, then R2 on thing. It might take you a few tries, but it's really not too difficult. So let's talk about the PlayStation Vita. First time anyone said that in...
Kurwo!
Now, I actually quite like the Vita, but don't have triggers. So how do you do this trick that requires triggers? Did you know that the PS Vita has a back touchpad? I didn't know that until I tried this trophy. So the trigger buttons are mapped to the back of the Vita, and it's not intuitive at all for timing in this trophy. This single-handedly makes the Vita flat about 5 times harder than the PS3. Is that an arbitrary number? Yes, but I am mad about it. So it's fine. And there is one that we're actually not even done. You see, that trophy is bad for one console, but then it is bad for both. You need to get 1 million both. There's no multiplier. That means either play through the game a long time, or do your switch into the raceway and don't down the buttons while you go to sleep. I know which method I did, and unless you think you can do it, you can't call me a cheat. Well, they can't all be winners, although they got first place, so I guess the game is a winner at something. I would say this is the only Ratchet game I actively dislike. Those are the ones that aren't on this list. I think it's 6 for a 4. I really want to think that, but you've got to stay on top of it. The Platinum is at least fairly unique. No, wait, no, you need to upgrade all your weapon skills. Last time I'm going to say it. One wrinkle that is for that in this game, though, is that each of the 4 characters has one exclusive weapon, and obviously you need to upgrade all of them. Another mind-boggling decision is that your bolts are also character-specific. You can't just grind all the bolts and use a practice save, and then use them to upgrade the other character's weapon. Oh, and you also need to get 1 million bolts. Thankfully, just for one character. There are also people who actually need to do is start a game. So the thing is still quite a goal how you could use the second
Kurwo! Starałem się! Kurwo!
These range from pretty manageable.
Ale mnie wyjebało w chuj!
To the fair few being lower than 2% completion rate. What makes this even worse is that this game doesn't have a cutscene skip button. Like, what? All the other games do. Why don't they pick this game specifically and not let you skip cutscenes? It makes every missed attempt take even longer to get back to. I never want to touch this game again. I know at the start I said all the older games. Not this one. This one should stay buried for all I care. Maybe you can argue this is the hardest, but it's the one that wastes my time the most, and honestly, that's worse. And that's the risk. People agree, but that's what talk about themselves too high or pressing time too low. Let me know all that and more in the comments. So while you're down there, press the like button and why not subscribe too. So make it easy to check out my other videos, both old and new. Didn't realize how samey the vocalists were until I sat down to do this video. So hopefully you enjoyed these things. What grade your lessons are fun. You won't forget it anytime soon. But now guys, thanks for watching. I'm intro, and I'll see you next time. Ratchet and Clank is a series that rears its head every so often, which is incorporated to be honest, or at least port the old games with something more recent than the PS3. That'd also be really nice. To get back on track to the video though, today we're going to rank all the platinum trophies for the series. First thing to note, none of these games have trophies, which is why they're not on the list. Save your comment. Now I do quickly want to note that I don't think any of these games are really difficult, which actually makes the ranking harder than some of the other series I've done videos for. Last thing quickly, for some of the games, they have multiple versions like the PS3 and the Vita. I'll be taking both into account for the ranking. This is really only relevant for one game on this list, which I will mention when we get to it. Last thing for real, for those who may not be familiar with the series, Challenge Mode is basically New Game Plus. So every time I say Challenge Mode, that's what it means. Without further ado, let's get on with ranking every Ratchet and Clank Platinum trophy from easiest to hardest, starting with